You're listening to the English version of this podcast episode. Para escuchar en español, sigue el enlace en la descripción de este episodio.
The 1960s was the start of the Chicano movement, el Movimiento.
Down with violence! Abajo! Down with racism! Abajo! Down with sexism! Abajo! Si se puede! Si
Activists like César, Chávez, and Dolores Huerta were on the front lines, calling for civil rights and social justice for Mexican Americans after facing decades of discrimination. This was a time when Mexican Americans started a movement to embrace the term Chicano and celebrated their indigenous roots.
And then we asked him, what do you know about the 20,000 years of Indian civilization that is part of our heritage? What do you know about the tortilla?
Chicanos fought for labor rights, land reclamation, and education reform. And right here in Oregon, Chicanos founded an institution that would change education for Latinos across the Pacific Northwest for generations.
Farm workers had no education, they had no political power, they had no economic power, but you know what, they had ganas, and they had a vision.
When I think about historically who has gone to college, it's been white men with privilege, right? Underrepresented students, students of color, indigenous students haven't even experienced first generation in college.
Our community always stepped up. They were beautiful people. They knew what it was all about. And without that community, I know it would have been much more difficult than it was.
I'm Jen Chavez, and this is The Evergreen, a podcast about the place you call home. Today, an Oregon story you may have never heard before, but it's one you should know. It's the story of Colegio César Chávez, the first accredited independent Chicano university in U.S. history, and how it continues to inspire as the Latino community in Oregon fights against its erasure. Producer Alicia Avila has the story.
Let me take you back to the early 1970s. The Latin rock band Santana released their second studio album, Abraxas, with hits like Black Magic Woman and Oye Como Va. And Malo just dropped their 1972 hit, Suavecito. It was also the time when Chicanos in the rural area of Mount Angel, Oregon, saw an opportunity to create something big.
People need to understand that it was a very hard, difficult situation that we undertook. It didn't happen by accident.
We were proponents of multicultural Latino Chicano studies, bilingual education, external degree credit for life experiences.
These are some of the founders of Colegio César Chávez. Sonny Montes.
My name is Celedonio Montes Jr. Here in Oregon, everybody calls me Sonny.
And Jose Romero.
My name is Jose M. Romero.
These two call each other compa, short for compadre. And they've been advocates of educational reform for several decades, with lots of spunk and fighting spirit still left.
We've never had a president of a four-year institution, but then when I think about it, you mentioned the co-presidency of Colegio. You and I were probably the first Chicano Latino presidents of a college in the Northwest.
The only reason we took it is because nobody else wanted to do the job.
Colegio has an interesting history. It came about because Mount Angel College was facing declining student enrollment and mounting debt.
Colegio's mission was to provide educational opportunities for those who had been traditionally denied access to higher education, and that included Oregon's migrant farm worker population.
This is Natalia Fernandez. She's the curator of Oregon State University's Multicultural and Queer Archives. She says by 1970, the Latino population in Oregon had grown to about 32,000.
However, it's highly unlikely that more than just a few hundred students of Mexican American heritage were enrolled in Oregon's colleges and universities. So there was definitely a lack of educational support and a need for the Chicano community to have access to higher education.
This is why, she says, Mount Angel College began recruiting more minority students, specifically within the Chicano community.
In 1973, the Board of Trustees also agreed and decided that this was the new mission and direction for the school. They wanted to continue recruiting more Chicano students, as well as hire more Chicanas into the administration and the staff. And then it was shortly after that they decided that they needed a name change to match their new purpose.
And that's when students themselves started thinking of names.
And then from out of nowhere, this student says, most of us here are farm workers, and we have a symbol, a leader, an inspiration in César Chávez. And we don't have to wait till he passes on, just like they do other people. If he's alive now, let's recognize his contributions and name this college after him. And all of a sudden, the consensus was there, and we renamed it and initiated it.
And on December 12, 1973, the school went from Mount Angel College to Colegio César Chávez. There was a lot of inspiration and hope amongst the students.
For once, those students who were not recruited, not enrolled, not invited to attend colleges and universities throughout Oregon were now able to come and be part of a learning experience.
Jose and Sonny hit the ground running. Jose was the director of Chicano Studies, and Sonny was the director of Administrative Affairs for Colegio.
We learned a lot about community organizing. I think that was one of our strengths. That helped us throughout the process and throughout the years that we spent at Colegio César Chávez. We knew what the issues were. We would sit down as a group and discuss strategies. What did we want to accomplish at the colegio?
During its operation, the school created a College Without Walls program. It was an empowering and flexible project where students could get college credit for their work and experience outside of the classroom. This meant students who worked as aides or who worked for social service agencies could take those experiences and convert them into a portfolio.
And provide them an opportunity to work and to learn and to experience. It helped us a lot in meeting the needs of our students. Some didn't have to be there all the time, but they could come in on weekends, or some could come quarterly for reviews of their portfolio.
But Colegio faced two really big challenges. Among them, financial debt and the need for accreditation. You know how Colegio took over the failing campus that was Mount Angel College? Well, the financial struggles of that college, which was owned by the Benedictine Sisters of Mount Angel, didn't just magically disappear. Colegio now inherited roughly $1 million in debt.
HUD came down on us, Housing and Urban Development, for loans that they had made to the sisters. HEW denied us our financial aid for our students and our staff for staff development. The Northwest Association of Schools and Colleges, made us work like dogs to get our self-study in and to eventually get candidacy status. So that was a big distraction. That disrupted studies.
In 1975, Colegio was granted candidacy status for accreditation, meaning Colegio met educational and quality standards. But the next year, the Northwest Association of Schools and Colleges withdrew their accreditation due to the financial challenges, all related to the debt.
So after years of failed negotiation, legal suits, Colegio, even though it won, that definitely took its toll on the administrators, the staff, the students, the community.
Another issue Colegio faced was racism.
The Brown Berets evolved out of the movement in the Chicano community for social justice. The Brown Berets are a community organization that give new pride to Chicano youth and that educate all the people in the barrio on their social and political rights.
Just like how the Black Panthers faced FBI surveillance of the 1960s and 1970s, the FBI also began to surveil the Brown Berets. They were monitoring civil rights advocates, leaders, and community members. And they actually began a file on Sonny Montes before Colegio César Chávez was ever established.
Considering that the Colegio César Chávez was a university campus, was dedicated to supporting the Chicano community and causes, it's not surprising that the FBI was surveilling the Colegio's activities and its leadership. Many students were involved in the Save the Colegio campaign, fundraising activities. Many students viewed their social advocacy and activism as part of their educational experience.
Colegio closed just 10 years after its founding, when it failed to pay off the roughly $1 million in debt.
The reason we failed was because we didn't have a strong financial base, period. And a lot of it had to do with discrimination, racism, and the lack of programs to work with our communities. We were facing some obstacles with state police, at FBI, that normal organizations or institutions of higher education never experienced.
These legal battles were hard fought, they were really challenging, and they took up a lot of time and resources that were then not devoted to the care and development of Colegio, and that had a lasting impact.
But the school also had a lasting impact on generations of Oregonians. From 1973 to 1983, Jose Romero says the school graduated more than 50 students, many who credit Colegio for giving them a start they probably would have never gotten otherwise.
We were very young, we were inexperienced, but we had a lot of ganas. We knew that we were doing the right thing for our community and for our students.
And we brought students in and encouraged them to graduate, to consider college, to look ahead to other opportunities that maybe their parents didn't have before, but as a way of motivating them, using César Chávez as an inspiration and role model.
Coming up after a break, the lasting impact of Colegio César Chávez. Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, our podcast from OPB about the place you call home. If you like what you hear, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, and we'll brighten your Monday morning a little bit with something new and interesting to listen to each week. And remember, this episode about the historic Colegio César Chávez in Spanish and English, and all the great OPB reporting and storytelling you hear on this show is made possible by the support of many thousands of OPB members. Support our journalism by becoming an OPB sustaining member today at opb.org/pod. And now, back to the show.
I never thought in my life that I would say, oh, I want to go to college or I want to go to school. We never thought, that we would get the opportunity.
Candelaria Vélez is an advocate for Colegio César Chávez. Right now, I'm in her home. We're sitting at a long wooden kitchen table. It's covered with a traditionally embroidered Mexican cloth. And we're looking at old photos of her and her husband, Rodolfo Vélez. He's sitting right next to her and recalling their days as farm workers.
Dual migrants, we used to travel all over. My schooling was real low.
That changed for Rodolfo when he and Cande decided that one of them should pursue a college education. They decided Rodolfo would go to Colegio.
The Colegio kind of opened up the doors, all new doors of learning about education, learning about what it is and what do you need, and all these little things that we needed to move on and the next step higher. Once we start getting educated in education and open up our ears or eyes of, now we started focusing in our kids to go to school. I used to tell them, well, there's more than high school. I mean, there's college.
They told me their lives completely changed because of Colegio, because of this one school in Oregon that advocated for the education of Latinos.
Colegio opened our minds. It taught us that what you can accomplish by getting an education. We went to a lot of demonstrations, and we would help with whatever we could. So we were involved with the labor movement. We were involved with the Colegio. I think that's why Anthony is involved in a lot of stuff, because we were involved in a lot of stuff.
She's talking about her son, Anthony Vélez. He's a fifth-generation Oregonian and community leader. In 2020, Anthony founded Poder, Oregon's Latino leadership network. He's always been inspired by the local grassroots organizations and champions of education reform.
I really feel that like the people that I've been around, like Jose Romero, the Sonny Montes, my parents, I think that they were living their destiny and their purpose, and it showed.
Anthony grew up going to colegio.
It was kind of like a historically black colleges, but for Latinos, it was a place we could go. We felt welcome. They spoke. It was a bilingual college program, so everything was in English and Spanish.
He spent his childhood on the colegio campus, while his dad worked towards completing his degree.
I didn't really know what was going on, but I know that we would go work all day and then afterwards go to what we call the Fishbowl, which is across from the college. And it's now a little chapel, but we used to organize there, and then that's where the whole movement started.
He's proud of what the college did.
Those folks that started that college, they really had no business starting a college. I mean, none of them had ever been a college president. None of them have ever ran a college. They just did it. It was one of the greatest accomplishments for any Oregonian in history, especially farm workers, right? There was no billionaire, millionaire donating money. There had to be like a spiritual movement, and it was. And that's, again, that spirit of that Si Se Puede that we all kind of live by. A lot of our community is still first generation. Their parents have never, ever stepped on a college campus. They don't even know what college is. You could talk to them and explain it to them, but they still wouldn't know until they actually go and they see and experience it. And so we're still on that journey.
It was a shock when Anthony realized that the final traces of Colegio's history, the murals inside the former site of the institution, had been painted over.
About 3 years ago now, I had not been back to the site of the colegio, which was in Mount Angel, Oregon. And I literally walked into the main building, and I looked to my right, and there's this famous, iconic mural. It was called the College Without Walls, and it was gone. It was literally painted over. So I took that really personal, and I felt like, wow, they're not only erasing me, but my family's, our history. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the bull by the horns, and that's not gonna happen. I want the whole world to know about Colegio.
This jump-started Anthony's mission to uplift the history of Colegio César Chávez. He's working towards a new iteration of the institution, with support from Colegio co-founders Sonny Montes and Jose Romero.
The playing field is not level yet. Our reason for pushing the legacy further ahead is because a lot was done with so little. And in the future, a lot more can be done with more, because what is now compared to what was then is a whole different scenario.
Anthony and the co-founders are in the early stages of fundraising. They still have a long road ahead. One other person who understands the fight for education reform is Teresa Alonso León, a former state representative. She's a first-generation and formerly undocumented immigrant. Teresa's experiences led her to champion educational reform in the state, becoming the first Latina chair of the Oregon House Education Committee.
As a representative for Oregon's most diverse and only district that is home to a majority people of color,
the concept of getting others into college became a passion of Teresa's because she knows firsthand the barriers kids face when they have to navigate a system they don't understand.
We are expecting our young people, especially young people who have no experience, to apply for scholarships, apply for universities, meet their requirements. And how can you meet their requirements when you're the oldest in the family? You don't have all the after-school extracurricular opportunities because you're taking care of your younger brothers and sisters. And, oh, by the way, you work too.
She wants to figure out how to get more talented Latinos, immigrants, and students of color to go to college, knowing that there's a lot of barriers.
This idea of having César Chávez University, it would mean that it would be the first institution that's culturally competent, having bilingual faculty or have faculty of color as a prioritization.
For the future iteration of Colegio, Anthony Veliz wants the farm worker movement in its core curriculum.
A lot of us are no longer farm workers, but I think it's going to be just a larger, more inclusive institution. There's a lot of places and spaces where Latinos have never really been, you know? And there's still so many places for us to still be and make our mark to make Oregon a better, more inclusive place.
When speaking to Teresa Alonso Leon, she got emotional. In fact, we both did. She reflected on how far she's come and how others like her, who come from the same background, face the same struggles, can achieve the same. Her struggle hits close to home for myself and thousands of other young Latinos striving to be the first in our families to achieve academic success.
I always get emotional. There's another little girl like me who has dreams and aspirations as a immigrant, farm worker, somebody who was formerly undocumented. Sometimes we don't see the future and our own potential. When I was a little girl thinking, I'm gonna become a state representative, that was never something that I thought I could achieve or even dream about. And so now I tell young people, if you can dream that dream even beyond it. Work towards it, because the universe has a way of helping you achieve what it is that you want to achieve.
Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB. To watch the Oregon Experience documentary Alicia Avila produced on Colegio César Chávez, click the link in the description of this episode. Mia Estrada produced this episode, and our technical director is Stephen Prey. Nolene Silva engineered the episode. The OPB podcast team also includes Julie Sabatier and Sage Van Wing. Alicia Avila and Mira Powell did the interviews you heard. The music in this episode is from Audio Network. We also used clips from the PBS Independent Lens documentary Dolores, a documentary from RMPBS called La Raza de Colorado, El Movimiento, UCLA Film and Television Archive video called Chicano Moratorium, A Question of Freedom from 1971, and the Oregon House Democratic Caucus. If you have a question for us, don't forget you can always reach out. You can reach us by email at theevergreen@opb.org. I'm Jen Chavez. Nos vemos.